Hello everybody, my name is Galym Makhmejanov. I am head of Center of Economic Research, which has named Kazakh Institute of Development Studies. This entity is established under the Kazgu University, and we are responsible for the research in the university, and in particular our interest is Islamic finance. Well, today I'm happy to present my lecture, and the topic of my lecture is Family Takaful and Retakaful, the introduction to the concepts and basic issues. Today, my lecture will consist of 5 parts. Well, 2 of them is classical, so I will introduce the topic and finally conclude. In between, I will tell you some Sharia-based principles that govern Takaful and Retakaful operations and different parts of different kinds of model of Takaful and Retakaful. Then we will discuss briefly family takaful, what are the needs for family takaful, what are the potential and products that can be used here in Kazakhstan in the future. And the last topic is about Retakaful, which is simply Islamic reinsurance. And I will tell you the different types of reinsurance, and of course, we'll discuss briefly what kind of possible simple Retakaful model can we have here in Kazakhstan. Well, I would like to introduce, first of all, from the very controversial issue, which will actually tell you the importance of insurance itself. So if you have the picture of September 11, so everybody is associate it with the Muslim world, then behind these events I can tell you big figures, about $38 billion of benefits received afterwards, after September 11. And more than half of these benefits are covered by insurance companies. And it is saying that the insurance is a very important issue, and especially if you say as for the Islamic insurance, then we can go deeper and discuss what are the basic principles. So Islamic insurance is not about September 11. Islamic insurance is about the principles of Islam that is involved and used in Islamic insurance model. So we call them further Takaful and Retakaful correspondingly. And of course, saying that basis for insurance is clear. So you just in classical insurance, you simply spread the loss of a few, spread to many. Okay? So the loss are borne by many, and the loss of misfortune transferred from insured to insurer. Basically there are 2 types of insurance that are, I think, familiar to everybody. So you have general insurance and life insurance. In general insurance, you can have plenty of different insurance products, like motor, fire, etc. As for the life insurance, so these are more sophisticated, and the insurance, and it's kind of insurance that deals with death, disability, and health of people. Well, so my topic is family takaful, which is actually Islamic version of life insurance. What are the main issues that contradicts conventional insurance with Islamic insurance? Well, in conventional insurance, what we have today, it actually, it didn't exist at times of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the scholars, Islamic scholars, they simply made their decision based on so-called concept of ijtihad, which is used to determine which is permitted or not permitted. Okay. So, and officially there are two resolutions concerning conventional insurance. So I can name you the Islamic Fiqh Academy decision, which took place in 1985, and it was explicitly said that the commercial insurance contract actually contradicts major elements of Islamic principles, and contains especially a huge element of risk, which actually voids the contract and therefore is prohibited according to the Sharia. And the second decision, official decision, which I want to refer, is the fatwa of the Committee for Islamic Religious Affairs in Malaysia. So, and it is dated by 1972. So this fatwa is about life insurance. So life insurance, according to this decision, I won't quote it by words. So it contains the elements of gharar, maisir, and riba. Well, so what is gharar? Gharar means deficiency, deficient clarity with regard to the subject matter, or simply uncertainty. Well, some level of uncertainty is tolerated, and some level of uncertainty is not tolerated. So when you undertake blindly something without sufficient knowledge, it is the level of gharar, which is not tolerated. Then if you risk oneself in a venture not knowing exactly what will be the outcome, then it's the level of uncertainty which is not tolerated. Well, in insurance practice, it actually takes place, so you don't know what is the outcome, and both parties, insured and insurer, they don't know what will be the outcome, final outcome, actually. So we don't know when the damage will occur or the peril will occur. Well, you simply sign the contract, which is actually the promise to reimburse or something, or your loss, which can happen or cannot happen. And this promise sometimes is fulfilled, sometimes is not fulfilled. The second concept is riba. So riba literally means increase in. So it is explicitly forbidden by Quran, and it simply means lending money for profit. Okay, so it is forbidden. Well, in insurance practices, riba takes place because insurance companies, and especially if we talk about family takaful, which is life insurance, in life insurance companies, they invest the premiums in riba products, okay, interest-bearing investments. So an insurance company pays this interest on their product. In addition, insurance companies considers future interest when they calculate the premium amount? Well, actually, finally, the interest is charged on late payments for premium. So there are many examples which actually confirms the use of riba in conventional insurance. Well, the last concept, which we call Maysir, Maysir means simply, well, gambling, and it is also explicitly forbidden in Quran. So, and unlike Gharar, which is tolerated somehow, Maysir is forbidden, is not accepted at all. Well, Maysir actually, in conventional insurance, you can meet when someone gets extra profit, a huge amount of money, without actually equivalent input. Well, this is also insurer, well, by itself, can lose if there are too many claimants. Okay, this is another example. And if premiums collected exceeds the claims, then insurance usually make a lot of money. So these are the example, just a small example of Maysir. Okay, those three things together actually brings you to the concept of haram, which is something, in meaning has two options. So one is something about sacred and meaningful, and another one is referring to the evil that is action, that sinful action forbidden to be done. Okay, let's have a short market overview of Takaful today. So global Takaful market overview. So Takaful history of Takaful starts from 1979, and in this year there were two companies established in two different countries, one in Sudan, so this example you can find in any textbook, another one in United Arab Emirates. Okay. Later in 1984, Malaysia, as a pioneer, set up first legal framework specific to Takaful, which is called Takaful Act Malaysia. Okay. So it was a really tremendous step forward in developing the Takaful, especially in Southeast Asia, which today is very dynamically developing Takaful region. So by 2014, the Takaful assets were around 33 billion, and gross Takaful contributions were about 14 billion US dollars. So among the Takaful companies, you can find something about 40% of life insurance, or say family insurance, family Takaful, and Retakaful. So namely 57 companies on family Takaful and 25 on Retakaful. So most of the countries who have developed Takaful market are located, as I said, in Southeast Asia and MENA countries, that means Middle East and North Africa. Well, family Takaful, as I said, it is specific market, so it is life insurance. We said that you don't have to pay premiums, the premiums are forbidden. So the scholars agreed on the principle of donation, which called in Arab language tabarru. So you have to donate, but in any Takaful or family Takaful or Retakaful model, you expect to get something if something you agreed will happen. Then it is a donation which has some conditions, so it is conditional donation. So the donation belongs to the participants, And the one who collects all these donations, we call Takaful operator. And Takaful operator does not own the donations of participants, simply get some right to manage the volume of money collected by participants. Okay. Well, so basically, participants pay contribution to the Takaful fund. Well, and then Takaful company or Takaful operator invests them on behalf of the participants. Okay. Well, then there are different ways to share the premium. So if you have underwriting surpluses, then again, they don't belong to the Takaful company, Takaful operator. They belong to participants. As well as investment profits also belong to participants. What if there is a deficit? So in case of deficit, that means when claimants exceed the contributions. So it is Takaful operator who should provide the interest-free loan in order to minimize the risk of this deficit. Okay, but basically, so it is natural that the shareholders should do this. However, sometimes they cannot. Well, they can refuse. Well, because they're simply to manage the funds collected by participants. Well, however, in practice, Takaful operators, they are forced by law to do this, and they have to provide this interest-free loan, which is called Kart Hasan. But this Kart Hasan, it is not a gift. It is a loan which has to be returned by participants in terms of future contributions. Okay. So in this chart, in this, you see the different structure of general and family Takaful. So you see the only difference between the general Takaful and family Takaful is the existence of participant investment fund. So then, in addition to participant Takaful fund, you have participant investment fund. So those two funds, they are personally recorded. So all the people, they identified, and each of them has personal record in terms of contribution and in terms of profit sharing. And of course, in terms of possible indemnity in the future. Well, however, there are some issues. So Takaful operator can decide freely where to invest and how to fulfill the contract duties. Well, and sometimes it takes controversial things because they decide where to actually reinvest or where which company use as retakaful or reinsurance. So, and sometimes companies use conventional reinsurance, which actually causes some doubts of, especially by Muslim scholars, about Sharia compliance of these actions. Okay. Well, then there is a case, sometimes even 2/3 of the premiums Takaful companies share to cede it to a Takaful, another Takaful companies. So then let's consider three different models of Takaful operation. So first model, which we call Wakala model, is simply principal agent model. So you have a Takaful operator which is compensated by pre-agreed fee. Okay, so the participants who act as the principal, they hire the Takaful operator who acts as a wakil or an agent, and, well, on agreed fee again. And the operator does not share the underwriting surplus, does not share the other investment profit. Instead, it is compensated by a fee, as again deducted from the contribution pool. Okay. The second model, which we call Mudarabah model, which is profit sharing model, and then here it is different. So the participant's role is the Rab al-Mal, so these are the capital provider, and the operator's role is the Mudarib, or entrepreneur. So they agreed. So Takaful fund, which is comprised by Tabaru, belong to the participant again, but the profit is shared according to the agreement signed in advance. Okay. And the last model, which is called Waqf model, this I think probably the most controversial model. So because in this model, you can consider this model as a combination or hybrid of the two previous one. However, the key difference is that Waqf fund is a separate legal entity. And this fact that it is separate legal entity causes many disputes among the scholars. Well, we mentioned there are some needs for Takaful, family Takaful. So, of course, there are some needs concerning your health. There are some needs concerning your sudden death or some sudden disabilities. So, nobody is insured, nobody is guaranteed in those issues. So, in this case, you will use the participant Takaful fund, because these are the short money. So, then the second is something which we call loan projects, and you need in loan projects investment growth. So these are the things related to your future retirement. These are the things related to your future education for your children, or the projects, probably in future project of purchasing a real estate. Okay. So as for inflows, so you have again contributions. There is also investment, which comes from the participant Takaful fund. Also, you have the receipts from Retakaful pools, because some part of your premium goes to a Retakaful model. And you have to take into account the reserves required by actuarial valuation. So this is the must. Okay. Well, in addition, there can be any donation made by Takaful operator. So these are the inflows for participant Takaful fund. Well, as for outflows, of course, you can name incurred claims. You can see as the Takaful operator's fee. So repayment of Qard Hasan, or this interest-free loan. Or you can see them as a Takaful operator share, when Takaful operators share investment income, so earned by investment operations of the PTF itself, participant Takaful fund. Okay. So and other payments as well. As for the participant investment fund, one of the key elements here is that operator might have 3 different investment plans. So depending on the wishes of participants. So it can be aggressive, or it can be balanced, or something conservative. So since we have long run money, if you're younger, so you can prefer aggressive plan, so you will have higher profit, but instead you will invest in risky projects, or conservative, so you have, as you get older, when you get some certain profit in certain industries. Well, so you will invest where? You will invest in Sharia-compliant instruments, so for example, government securities. you can invest in joint stock companies, or you can place them in Islamic banks, okay, if you trust them. Okay. Well, as for the products, I would then tell you about the two groups of products concerning the corporate family Takaful products and individual family Takaful products. So they are related to the things that I mentioned in previous slides. So for corporate family Takaful, you may have a group healthcare. So when your employer wants to insure his or her workers buying the healthcare insurance. So you can have also employers' death or disability insurance, which actually to protect participants from these unpleasant events. And of course, the retirement income plan by your employer, which all the things actually can serve as motivation or incentive for more qualified workers. So for individual and family Takaful products, you can have almost the same thing. However, you can add here the long-run projects like what we said, so savings and protection, education plan, retirement income, or probably mortgage Takaful when you want to buy a house. Okay. All this stuff, the products are they based on actuarially fair models and with calculation based on annuities, etc. Okay. Well, let's go to the last topic of our presentation about Retakaful and its issues. So it will be short, very short, because reinsurance actually is insurance of insured. So all the companies, insurance companies, may have the same problems as any participant or any client of insurance company. So the uncertainty, as you see, characterized by frequency and characterized by severity. So if you have very big damage in case of unpleasant events, then some insurance company cannot cover them. So they have to reinsure these risks based on, sometimes it is legally enforced to do that. Okay. So if you want, the definition of reinsurance is a classical one. So it is allowing an insurance company or underwriter, which we call cedant, to lay off a past part of liability to another insurer, which you call reinsurer. Okay? So in a given insurance, and which they have actually accepted, okay, both parties. So the functions of the reinsurance are pretty clear here. So it is very efficient and convenient way to develop the insurance market in emerging economies, especially. So it also provides some underwriting capacity to young insurance companies like Kazakh insurance company. And also it's actually a cost-effective way to substitute for additional capital. Okay. Well, types of reinsurance, there are not so many. So you have facultative insurance or obligatory insurance. So it depends on the treaty. So if you have treaty, it is obligatory, and depends on the different conditions. In both cases, facultative it depends on a contract. So if you have a contract to reinsure, so you just refer to a reinsurance company and you receive either agreement or not. Okay. So in both sides, you can choose whether your reinsurance model will be proportional or non-proportional. So in proportional way, it is easy to see. So everything is divided according to the shares agreed ex ante. So you have, for example, proportional insurance here on this slide. It is one part of some insured of $10 million. It is shared by the share of 60 and 40. Okay, so and you at the same time you share also the possible losses by the same percentage. Okay, well, usually sometimes insurance company, they can ask some additional compensation from reinsurance company. And the second graph on this slide shows you the possible outcome for when you have reinsurance compensation of about $1,800. Okay, this is an agreement, and it depends on the contract issues. So as for the loss distribution, as you see, so in proportional case, it is simply divided according to the shares agreed ex ante. In non-proportional case, you have to fill, well, in different options, okay? So if you have loss which, for example, does not exceed level 1 of loss, then this loss is covered only by insurance company. So reinsurance company does not participate in coverage of this loss. Okay. So if you have risk which exceeds this level 1, then you can have a first layer. So when reinsurance company will cover with certain agreements, with certain conditions, etc. And if you get the loss higher, so probably you will have different conditions stipulated in the contract of the reinsurance company's participation. Okay. So reinsurance market is quite developed. Well, as for basic model for Retakaful, again, is simply the same thing which you have in insurance or Takaful. So you can consider different options, as we said, principal agent or profit sharing agreement, and simply realize it in reinsurance scheme. Well, but then the issue should be, of course, Sharia compliance. Okay. So if you choose your partner as reinsurance company, then it can cause many doubts. Okay. Well, to conclude, you see that the Takaful market is very dynamic, developing market. So the average growth rates during the last years was more than 10% in terms of asset growth. Well, and we can have a good opportunity to develop Takaful market here in Kazakhstan. Well, family Takaful is a specific domain, and the family Takaful can be a really nice option especially, for example, retirement schemes, etc. However, with developing the Takaful market, we have to develop as well Retakaful market. So in Retakaful market, we have to be really careful with the issues of Sharia compliance and whether this reinsurance is permitted or not permitted. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. This is my short lecture.